Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. Thank you very much, Shashwin, for reciting the Mangalacharan so beautifully. Hare Krishna, everybody. Today we have among us our favorite, Lavanga Prabhuji. He has come all the way from Nairobi. And now he's in Eldoret currently. He has just had his flu jab and he's feeling very poorly. But in spite of that, he has kept his promise. And this is how devotees are. They can be feeling unwell, but to serve Krishna's devotees and to serve Krishna, they just put all the health issues or any other issues away. So we are very grateful, Prabhuji. In spite of your condition, you have managed to join us. Thank you very much, Prabhuji. So on behalf of all the devotees. Thank you very much.
And I've got all the entourage behind me, Masganga Mataji, and all her ladies are behind me here.
You have the big force behind you, so there is no way anything can happen. There is full protection. Narsimha.
Yes.
Okay, Prabhuji, on behalf of everybody on this group, please accept our humble obeisances. Dandvat Pranam. Prabhuji, we are reading the Bhagavad Gita as it is, and we are on chapter 10. Chapter 10 is called the opulence of the absolute. And today we are on text 26. Prabhuji, how would you like us to do? Would you like us to recite the text and read the purport, or Prabhuji?
Yes, please. You be part of the program. Be part of the program. You recite and you go to the text. Then I'll just, as Babu, I'll just say a few comments.
Okay, Prabhuji. Thank you, Prabhuji. Okay, so I'll ask Shashwin to read the shloka so then we can release him. Shashwin, is it possible for you to read the text 26, better?
Yes. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Ashwatthah sarva vrikshanam devarsinam cha narada gandharvanam chittatralata Siddhanam kapilo muni. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Prahlad, would you like to recite the text once and we can repeat just once, line by line, Prahlad?
Yes, wait, hang on. Which text are we on?
Text 26.
Oh, 26. Okay, 1 moment. Okay, here we go. Ashvata. Okay. Ashvata sarva vrikshanam.
Ashwatha sarva vrikshanam
Devarsinam cha narada.
Devarsinam cha narada.
Gandharvanam chitra rataha.
Gandharvanam chitrarata
Siddhanam kapilo muni.
Siddhanam kapilo muni. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Kumar Prabhuji, is it possible for you to read the word to word, Prabhu?
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Asvatah.
Ashwatha.
The banyan tree.
The banyan tree.
Sarva Vriksanam.
Sarva Vrikshanam.
Of all trees.
Of all trees.
Deva Rushinam.
Deva Rishinam.
Of all the sages among the demigods.
of all
Of
the
all the
sages
sages
amongst the
demigods.
demigods.
Sa
Cha
Sure.
and
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 Naradaha
Naradaha,
Naradaha.
Tell this
Narada
Narada,
Narada.
Gandharvanam
Gandharvana,
Say Hare Krishna.
of the citizen of Gandharva planet.
the
Of the
citizens of
citizens
Gandharva
of
planet.
the Gandharva planet.
Chitra Radaha
Chitraratha,
Chitrarataha.
Chitra Rada
Chitraratha,
Chitrarataha.
Chittanam
Siddhana,
of all those who are perfected.
of all
Of all
those who are
perfected.
perfected.
Kabilaha Muniha
Kapilaha
Kapila
Muniha,
Muni.
Kapila Muni.
Kapila Muni.
Kapila Muni.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Kumar Prabhu. Hare Krishna, Ravi Prabhuji. Is it possible for you to read the translation, Ravi Prabhuji? Okay, maybe he is committed. I'll read the translation. Of all the trees, I am the banyan tree, and of all the sages among the
You want to
demigods,
take your darshan.
I am Narada. Of the Gandharvas, I am Chitraratha,
I want to take your
Chitraratha,
darshan.
and among perfected beings, I am the sage of Kapila. Maybe we can read a little bit, and we can repeat. Of all the trees,
Of all the trees.
I am the banyan tree,
Of
I am the banyan tree,
and of all the sages among the demigods,
and
And of all
all
the
the
sages among the
sages
demigods.
among the demigod,
I am Narada.
I am
Narada.
Narada.
Of the
I
Gandharvas,
want to take your darshan.
Of the
Of the
Gandharvas,
I am Chitraratha.
I am Chitraratha.
Everybody
And
receives it.
among the perfected souls, among
And
the
among the
among
perfected beings,
perfected beings,
beings.
I am Sage Kapila.
I am Sage Kapila.
Hare Krishna. Soni
Krishna.
Mataji, can you read the purport, please? Purport by Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada
Hare
ki
Krishna.
jai.
Purport by Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada. Jai. The banyan tree, Ashvatha, is one of the highest and most beautiful trees, and people of India often worship it as one of their daily morning rituals. Among the demigods, they also worship Narada, who is considered the greatest devotee of the universe. Thus, he is the representation of Krishna as a devotee. The Gandharva planet is filled with entities who sing beautifully, and among them, the best singer is Chitraratha. Amongst the perfect living entities, Kapila, the son of Devahuti, is a representative of Krishna. He is considered an incarnation of Krishna, and his philosophy is mentioned in the Srimad Bhagavatam. Later on, another Kapila became famous, but his philosophy was atheistic. Thus, there is a gulf of difference between them. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you very much, Mataji, for reading the purport for us. Prabhuji, we can hand over to you now. Hare Krishna.
Oh, yes. If you hand over to me, I'll appreciate to speak, but I've got little headache because of the vaccine, and Krishna is the greatest. I'll try to say something. Okay, so the shloka talks about 4 entities. A tree called the banyan tree, which is famous in India. You know, every Indian knows about that tree. And it talks about the Gandharvas, who are musicians. And then it talks about 2 other very great personalities, Narada Muni and Lord Kapila. So, as you said before, the chapter is the opulences of the absolutes. So we understand that Krishna, he has expansions, and the expansions of Krishna who come to the material world, they are called avatars, or rather incarnations. And the word avatar, literally it means one who descends. So Krishna is up there. Sometimes he can descend himself as he did in Dvapara Yuga. You know, when he descended and he had his pastimes also. But Krishna, mostly, he has his expansions and they are the ones who act on his behalf. Right. I was feeling that I'd better repeat something which you might, which you know, and for those who don't know, they can know that these avatars, or rather these incarnations, they are grouped basically on 6 categories. We have got the Purusha avatars, we have the Lila avatars, we have the Guna avatars, Manvandara avatars, the Yuga avatars, and the Shaktavesha avatars. Hope you all know about them, but maybe for those who don't know, I can just say a few words on each.
Yes, Prabhuji, it will be good.
Okay, but I would explain, you know, because of time, I'll just mention a few points on each. When we speak about the Purusha avatars, we are talking about those avatars which are actually connected with the creation. And the first Purusha avatar, the first descent, because avatar, we talked about those who descend, who come down to this material planet, being expansions of Krishna, incarnations of Krishna. So the first descent of the Supreme Personality of Godhead to this material world, the first one is called Mahavishnu. So Mahavishnu is the #1 Purusha avatar. So from Mahavishnu, innumerable universes are produced from the pores of his body. So from the pores, you know, like our bodies have got those small hairs. So from those small pores of the Supreme Personality of that incarnation, Mahavishnu, of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and we get all the innumerable universes. They spring from those pores. And the word is innumerable. You can't count them. You can't count them. They are innumerable. Then the second, that is the first descent. That is the first avatar. And the second one is given that technical name of Garbhodakshaya Vishnu. So from Garbhodakshaya Vishnu, because all the universes have come from Mahavishnu. So Garbhodakshaya Vishnu enters into each universe. I'm just, you know, there's a lot to talk about, but because of time, I'm just going to mention a little bit about the 6 avatars. And I said the first one is the Purusha avatar. And I'm just explaining the 3 of them. I started with Mahavishnu. I went to Garbhodakshaya Mahavishnu. From him, all the universes come. Then into each universe, Garbhodakshaya Vishnu enters. And from Garbhodakshaya Vishnu, when he lies into the water, the first created being comes from the lotus flower from his navel. And that first being is no other but Brahma, Lord Brahma. And then we have the third Vishnu, who is called Kshirodakshaya Vishnu, and that is the super soul, which enters into every living entity, including Brahma, and even to the smallest atom, which you can't see. So now there we have seen actually the greatness of Krishna in one sense. That's why in text number 24, Srila Prabhupada, at the end of the purport, Srila Prabhupada said, these representations of Krishna only give hints of his greatness. So even if I'm explaining now, we can't understand fully how these things work. These are just hints. So when I spoke about Mahavishnu, Garbhodakshaya Vishnu, Kshirodakshaya Vishnu, how Mahavishnu, you know, all the universes come from his body. Then in each universe, Garbhodakshaya Vishnu goes there, and we understand that, you know, from the navel, a flower shoots up, you know, the lotus flower, and Brahma, the first created being, and then in every living entity whom Brahma creates, because Brahma is the prime, you know, is the greatest engineer. He engineers all these, you know, this planet, and Brahmas, they are also innumerable. We can't count them. So all this is just to show Krishna's greatness, and it's just like a hint, you know. It's not that, you know, there's a lot. If you go to the Srimad Bhagavatam, is when you can get even a little bit more, but still with our small brain, we can understand. So that is the first avatar. I said there are 6. You know, and the second avatar, is the Lila avatar. Lila avatar means, and they have got no limit also. So the English name, it can be given the name pastimes. When Lord Krishna, when the Supreme Personality of Godhead wants to act his pastimes, and by the way, he can come himself, like when he came, you know, himself. But if he doesn't want to come himself, he sends what we call Lila avatars, or other pastime avatars. At Priya, I can see you there. Pastime avatars, an example is like the one Mataji you mentioned, who is protecting me now, who didn't make me very sick. Nashinga avatar is one of the Lila avatars. And then we have others like Varaha avatar. You know, when there's discrepancies, he can either come himself or he can send his avatars, his incarnations. And Nashingadev is very famous. You know, he came to save Prahlad Maharaj from the demon Hiranyakashipu. We have the boa incarnation, you know, like that. We have the kurma, the tortoise, you know, like that. So we won't spend much time because of time. Then number 3, we have the guna avatars. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is very much amazing, very amazing. Number 3 is the guna avatars. When we speak about the guna avatars, we speak about the 3 incarnations, Brahma, Shiva, and Vishnu. Brahma, that avatar, Brahma is in charge of creation, you know. He actually, you know, Brahma is a chief engineer of what we find in this universe. And Lord Shiva, just to mention a little, one sentence about Lord Brahma is that, you know, Garbhodakshaya Vishnu, when there is no Brahma who can be, you know, because Brahma is a title. Personalities are put in that title. They are just like we have Uhuru. Uhuru, the title is president. We had Moi, we had Kenyatta, like that. So Brahma is a title. So when there is no Brahma, Garbhodakshaya Vishnu himself, he takes the charge. So that is about Brahma. And then Shiva. Shiva is the one who is in charge of destruction. And actually, Lord Shiva, the example given of Lord Shiva and Vishnu, or rather Krishna, let's say Vishnu is yogurt and milk. Milk, we can say, milk is Vishnu. And then Lord Shiva can be the yogurt. So the point is, yogurt is milk. but milk is not yogurt. I don't know whether I'm getting it right, but milk is the original, but from original we get yogurt. So Lord Shiva is like the yogurt, but it's from milk. So Lord Shiva is not a joke also. So it said Lord Shiva and Brahma, they directed to do their services of creation and destruction. And Lord Vishnu is the one who does the maintenance. And the analogy given of Lord Vishnu and Krishna is that of a candle. If you have one candle, and you have a candle and you light another candle and you put it here. Of course, we have the first candle and the second candle is lit from the first candle. They are all the same, but we have the original candle. And I took the first candle and the second candle, I had to light it with the first one. All right, let me not continue that so much, but that is the third avatar, which is called the Guna avatars. And then we have the Manvandara, Manvandara avatars. They are the Manus. We are talking about the Manus. And actually the first Manu is called Svayabhuva Manu. So in Brahma's one day, which is like in earthly years, it is like, it's like 40 billion, 320 million years. In one day of Brahma, we get 14 Manus. And Brahma lives for 100 years. So these Manus, they are also very, very many. So that is called the incarnations of Manus. And then we have got the Yuga avatars. Yuga avatars is simply Satya Yuga. Yes, it's Satya Yuga, Treta Yuga, Dvapara Yuga, and Kali Yuga. So in Satya Yuga, it was a very good one. People used to do meditation. They used to live for 100,000 years. And I think we were there sometimes, but we can't remember. Then Treta Yuga, people used to do sacrifices. They used to live for 10,000 years. And then Dvapara Yuga, people used to do a lot of worship. And people used to live for 1,000 years. And in Kali Yuga, it is said that in Kali Yuga, the best means of deliverance is by chanting the holy names of the Lord. That's why we always say we should always chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. I think those are 5. And then I mentioned the last one. The last one is called the Shaktyavesha avatar. Shaktyavesha avatar, it just means empowered living entities. And these empowered living entities, the reason I was mentioning all this because I wanted to come to that point of Shaktyavesha avatar, because these empowered living entities is where you get what we have today as Narada Muni. So when Krishna says, of all trees, I'm banyan tree, and the sages among the demigods, I'm Narada Muni, this Narada Muni is a Shaktyavesha avatar. And of the Gandharvas, I'm the Chitraradha, and among the perfected beings, I'm the sage Kapila. So also this sage Kapila is an avatar also. So I'll try to kind of little bit now come to our philosophy, the way Srila Prabhupada wanted us to. He wanted us to all the time be thinking about Krishna and never forget about Krishna. So when I'm doing the talk now, I'll not forget that Srila Prabhupada wanted us to always think of Krishna and never forget about Krishna. So you'll allow me to mention few qualities of these 2 personalities mentioned in the shloka here, Narada Muni and Lord Kapila, because they are going to bring us back to how we can be Krishna conscious. So I think I'll start with Narada Muni. And I don't know how much time I have, 28 minutes first. Yeah, I'll start with Narada Muni. Narada Muni, as you know, he was the son of a maidservant. And Narada Muni is very exemplary of the life of a devotee. Because here in the Bhagavad Gita where we read, Srila Prabhupada says here that among the demigods, they also worship Narada Muni, who is considered the greatest in the universe. Thus, he is the representation of Krishna as a devotee. So it's very important if we get 2 or 3 points, because Narada Muni appears almost everywhere in the Srimad Bhagavatam. Because as Prabhupada said here, Narada Muni is considered the greatest devotee in the universe. There are so many instances in the Srimad Bhagavatam whereby you find Narada Muni appears, especially when there is a misunderstanding like that. He comes when he, when other great personalities want to get enlightenment, spiritual enlightenment, they consult him. So I just want to mention, a pastime which he had with Vyasadeva. As we know, Vyasadeva is the compiler of the Vedas, but it reached a time when Vyasadeva when Narada Muni came to him, he told Narada Muni, I have done all this work. I've compiled all this, so much. I've compiled the Vedanta Sutras. I've compiled so much, but I'm not satisfied. That's the word. So for us today, we should ask ourselves, if Vyasadeva, after compiling all this, he was not satisfied, what can we do to be satisfied? And the answer was given Narada Muni to Vyasadeva also. So Vyasadeva, when he told Narada Muni, I am not satisfied, Narada Muni gave him a lecture with so many shlokas in the Srimad Bhagavatam, but I'm just going to take 1 or 2 or 3 of the points which Narada Muni mentioned to him, and I'm sure they will be very important in our spiritual life today. So Narada Muni told him, you have not actually broadcast the sublime, spotless glories of the personality of Godhead. And that philosophy, we have so many philosophies. We have so many philosophers, But any philosophy which does not satisfy the transcendental senses of the Lord, they are considered to be worthless. So you will always be disturbed, whether you are who or who. Because we have so many philosophies, if that philosophy does not satisfy the transcendental senses of the Lord, if the Lord is not happy with those philosophies, if those philosophies they are not entitled to devotional service, then those philosophies are counted to be worthless. So Narada Muni told Vyasadeva, you have done so many things concerning how we can do rituals, how we can do our sense gratification, things like that, how we can, our economic development can come up nicely. What kind of religious programs can we do to get Lakshmi, to get cash, things like that. But he was told, yes, you did all that. and it's important. But you didn't do one thing which is very important. You didn't satisfy the Supreme Personality of Godhead through devotional service. So we can understand that such a scholar as Vyasadeva, he completed many, Vyasadeva, he wrote so many Vedic literatures, ending with the Vedanta philosophy, but no one of them had been written directly glorifying the personality of Godhead. That's why we find that whatever is directly glorifying the Supreme Personality of Godhead, that's what we call bhakti. All the other processes, they can't come to the stage of bhakti. So this Vyasadeva, he was enlightened by Narada Muni, who Srila Prabhupada says here, Narada Muni is the representation of Krishna as a devotee. So he came to enlighten another great personality called Vyasadeva. We know Vyasadeva is not a small person. So he came to enlighten him, and from that, that's where we understand that devotional service which we are doing. You know, even reading this Bhagavad Gita, I'm happy you finished 1 year a few days ago. This is also bhakti. This can please Krishna more than having, you know, a factory of making beer and making billions of shillings, you know, being a tycoon. You know, this one is better off 1,000 times. And also Narada Muni, he told Vyasadeva that this is very important again. I'm just going to read. It's not from my head, I'm reading, but we are sharing. But I'm reading from, from Srimad Bhagavatam. These words were spoken by Narada Muni. So Narada Muni again, he told Vyasadeva, the reason why you are not satisfied, the reason why you are not happy, although you have done all these great compilations, is because the words which do not describe the glories of the Lord, they are like pilgrimage of crows. And when I say that, I'm going to read something and listen to this carefully. The crows, crow is a certain bird, C-R-O-W-S. The crows, they take pleasure in places where garbage is thrown out. You will not find crows where there is no garbage. When you throw garbage, that's where you find crows coming to have their festival. They come to feast there. Just as passionate, and the swans, swan is another kind of bird, S-W-A-N. And the swans do not take pleasure in the places where crows are assembled for conferences and meetings. So there are two birds. One is called the swan, and the other one is called the crow. Where the crow is taking pleasure, where the crows are having their meetings and conferences, laughing like anything, jumping up and down, you will never find a swan there. And Prabhupada writes here that they are instead, the swans, they are instead seen in the atmosphere of natural scenic beauty. Yeah, the crows, they go where, it's very clean, like in those places where they play golf, because it's very clean. The swans, they can go and take pleasure there. Where there are transparent reservoirs of water, nicely decorated with the stems of lotus flowers. And this is the difference between the two classes of birds. So I'm just going to read a few more sentences because of time. And then I'm sure this is not something new to you, but it's just reminding ourselves. Prabhupada writes that similarly, there are different kinds of literatures for different types of men of different mentality. And then Srila Prabhupada says that the books you find, he writes that mostly the market literatures which attract men of the cross category They are literatures containing remnants of things which only make the senses happy materially. They are generally known as mundane talks in relationship with the gross body and the subtle minds. They are full of subject matter described in just a decorative language, but it is just a poison. So Srila Prabhupada writes that spiritually advanced men who are compared to the swans do not take pleasure in such dead literatures, which are sources of pleasure for men who are spiritually dead. So that showed when he spoke that to Vyasadeva, Vyasadeva found that it is better to become a devotee of the Lord. So for us today, we can just understand from the teachings of Narada Muni, just that one verse, that we should only go for things which are not for sense, which are not, just like the crows, they like garbage. We should not go for the garbage. And at the end, Srila Prabhupada says that devotional service is only for the swans, for the intelligent people. Those who can't go for devotional service, according to Narada Muni, they are just crows. They will just be finished. And I have to finish up about Narada Muni. I'm just going to wind up about Narada Muni by just quoting one more verse from which was spoken by Narada Muni to Vyasadeva, and this is very, very important for us. This will be the last one. And this is what Narada Muni told Vyasadeva. And this is very, very important for us today, because sometimes devotional service might seem to be having some uphills, and sometimes in one way or the other, you may not succeed in devotional service because it's not easy, because it's a matter of not making the senses do what they want. So Narada Muni said, one who has, he says that one who has forsaken his material occupations to engage in devotional service. Yeah. One who has forsaken his material occupation to engage in devotional service. Just like today, that 1 hour, you are just engaged in this one. You are not doing another thing. This is devotional service, actually. The Lord may sometimes, such a person may sometimes fall down because of being immature. But on the other hand, a non-devotee who is engaged in so many activities and he falls down, the Lord will not take care of him. So we understand that when we perform devotional service, sometimes things might not be very good. You may fall down in one way or the other, either by thinking, maybe by words, or maybe by actions. You may fall down. But here Narada Muni told Vyasadeva that you should not worry much. The Lord is with you. Then Srila Prabhupada writes, and this is the last point I'm making here. Srila Prabhupada writes that there are many instances of such examples of those people who fell down, but they were engaged in devotional service. And Srila Prabhupada mentions a great person called Ajamil, is in the Srimad Bhagavatam, and he said that Ajamil, in his early life, he was a devotee, but in his youth, he fell down. You know, in the first beginning, he was a devotee. But you know, in the course of time, he fell down, but still he was saved by the Lord at the end. This Ajamil, he was a great devotee, but somehow or other, he fell down. How he fell down is a long story. Maybe you all know it. But somehow or other, the main point is that the Lord saved him. You know, so to finish up my talk, because here we are told that among the perfect living entities in the Bhagavad Gita where we read, among the perfect living entities, Kapila, the son of Devahuti, is a representative of Krishna. So I want us to see only one verse which was spoken by Lord Kapila, who is a representative of Krishna. We'll just see only one verse, not two. Lord Kapila, you know, he wrote, you know, he spoke very many shlokas, but we're just going to see only one, not two. Because we are told, Srila Prabhupada writes here that, no, Krishna says in the purport, sorry, in the translation, that the sage, among the sages, I'm Narada, and among the perfected beings, I'm the sage Kapila. So let us see what this sage Kapila, this perfected sage, Lord Kapila, is saying. Only one verse, but he spoke very many verses. And this is very, very important. He's saying here that every learned man knows very well that attachment for the material is the greatest entanglement of the spirit soul. But the same attachment, when applied to the self-realized devotees, opens the doors of liberation. Srila Prabhupada mentioned that you can't kill desires and you can't kill attachments. Very, very important. You can't kill desires and you can't kill attachments. So what can we do? Srila Prabhupada says here that attachment cannot be killed. It has simply to be transferred. So attachment for material things is called material consciousness. And attachment for Krishna or his devotee is called Krishna consciousness. So our attachment should only be transferred to Krishna. Then Prabhupada says here, consciousness therefore is the platform of attachment. And it is clearly stated here that when we simply purify our consciousness from material consciousness to Krishna consciousness, we attain liberation. So our attachment should only be transferred. We should just transfer our attachment to being so much attached to Krishna. We should transfer our desires to satisfy the desires of Krishna. And I think I have to stop now because of time. Yeah, Krishna is time also. We are governed only in the spiritual world, they don't know time. Spiritual world, they don't grow old, they don't know time. You know, but here we have time. So please, I have to stop there and see whether you have any comments. Oh, you don't have any comments?
Hare Krishna,
Hare
Prabhuji.
Krishna.
There are some questions, if you don't mind, Prabhuji. Can we ask some questions?
Yes, please.
Okay, so
Yes.
the first question is from Richa Mataji. Richa Mataji, kindly unmute yourself and then Divyesh Prabhuji can ask his question.
Is it
Hare Krishna to everyone. Dhanvat Pranam. Thank you for allowing me to ask my question. Hare Krishna. My question is that when we talk about crows and the swan, as it is given in the example, in the introduction of Bhagavad Gita, it is said that Krishna is intelligence in an intelligent person, beauty in a beautiful woman. He is all the qualities that that anyone would have, because we are part and parcel of him. We do have qualities, but not quantity. So how so wouldn't the crows also have some of the qualities of Lord Shri Krishna, have the intelligence to identify that devotional service is the only way and only meaning of this life is to serve Lord Shri Krishna? Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Can you see Masaganga Mataji behind me?
Hare
Yeah, she
Krishna.
was
We
here.
can, yes, we can.
And you can
Dhanvat
see her daughter
Pranam.
there. And her daughter there.
Dhanvat Pranam, Mataji.
So what I can let you know is that personally, me, I was a crow. So some or other, many of us were crows. You know, when you are there taking cigarettes, having all this nonsense, you are just a crow. But crows, they can be turned into swans. That is a miracle of Krishna consciousness. And that is a miracle of Srila Prabhupada ki. Yeah, so we are in this house of Srila Prabhupada. When we come to that house of Krishna consciousness, when we come there, being crows, we can be transformed to swans. Thank you very much. It was a very good question.
Thank you very much, Prabhuji. Divyesh Prabhuji, kindly unmute and ask your question.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, thank you for a wonderful class.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. My question is, in one of the avatars you're saying, which is the soul that just enters into every living being? What is that avatar called?
Oh, right. Yeah. That is the amazing part of, Krishna, because Krishna, when he expands himself to these, the Purusha avatars, the first one is Mahavishnu, then Garbhodakshaya Vishnu, then Kshirodakshaya Vishnu. Kshirodakshaya Vishnu is the one who enters into each and every living entity, including the smallest, even the insects.
Kshirodaksha.
Kshirodakshaya Vishnu. I hope the spellings are Kshirodakshaya.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Kshirodakshaya Vishnu. And Divyesh, when you come to the temple, you can get a book called Teachings of Lord Chaitanya, and there is chapter 8. It is talking about the avatars. So you'll get all these avatars explained in detail.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Prabhuji. Raj Kishori Mataji has a question. Mataji, kindly unmute and ask your question.
Hare Krishna. It's just a reflection. It's not a question.
Oh,
Prabhu,
thank you very much. Yeah.
we were talking about Narad Muni and that he appears everywhere. Well, Narad Muni appeared in the Radhalandanishwar temple. 1969, Srila Prabhupada was giving a lecture in a Conway Hall. It still exists. And in the Conway Hall, Yamuna Mataji was playing the harmonium and giving out a nice bhajan. And there were very few people who turned up. They had advertised a lot, but it was 1969. It was just the beginning of the Krishna consciousness in London. So it was not very full. Just a few people had turned up. And Yamuna was singing the bhajan, and suddenly Srila Prabhupada was laughing and he was singing Narad Muni Veena Bajaye, that bhajan, Narad Muni Veena Bajaye. When everything was finished, Yamuna asked Srila Prabhupada, what was it? I was singing and you started laughing and then you were singing. And Srila Prabhupada said, Narad Muni came there. Didn't you see him? I was so pleased because the other devotees were apologizing to Srila Prabhupada. Oh, Prabhupada, we have tried our best. We were asking for everyone, but not many people have turned up. And we are very sorry. And Srila Prabhupada said, what are you sorry about? Narad Muni came here. What else do you want? This was the best part. He was so very happy. Now this is in the Lilamrut and Yamuna's lifestyle. And since then, Srila Prabhupada ordered in the Radhalandanishwar temple, we have to have 2 seats near the deities. One is for Brahma because Brahma also came. And another seat is for Narad Muni. Yes, so I just thought I'd mention it because Narad Muni turns up everywhere. Well, he turned up to help Srila Prabhupada to propagate Krishna consciousness. So I thought I will share that reflection with you. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Let me make a comment that Narada Muni carries a musical instrument called a veena. And only Narada Muni is allowed to go from the material world all the way through the Vraja River, the Kausa Ocean, all the way to the spiritual world. You know, he can enter anywhere. He's a very special personality. Please, when you get time, read about him. Hare Krishna.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna. Thank you very much, Raj Kishori Mataji, for sharing that with us.
Masiganga is there lifting a hand.
Mansiganga
I just-
Mataji, Hare Krishna.
I just wanted to add to Braj Kishori's Prabhu's comment. Srila Prabhupada also said, wherever there's a rip-roaring kirtan, Narad Muni comes there. You know, wherever there's very good kirtan going on, Narad Muni
Hare
appears there.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you very much for adding to that. Any more questions or comments? We can still take one or two questions.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Yes, Mataji.
It is just so wonderful to hear Raj Kishori Mataji's reflection and Mansi Ganga Mataji's reflection, because it just helps us to have more and more faith in God, really. So thank you both for sharing that wonderful reflection, those wonderful reflections. Hari Bol.
Thank you very much, Pramila Mataji. Any more questions or comments?
Hare Krishna.
Yes, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Yeah, just enjoyed the class. Just the comments on that is because I've been learning about this Srimad Bhagavatam, and I'm on Canto 1 at the moment. And the pastimes of Narada Muni and Vyasadeva is very much appreciated, because this gives me a revision on what I'm doing at the moment. And just reflecting on Risha Mataji's question about the crows. Actually, Prabhupada refers that the crows are actually the people who are reading the literature, which actually talks on a sensuous topic. This is just generally the mundane talks, and this doesn't talk about the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and that is more like a crow-like, and the literatures which are geared towards actually talking about the Supreme Personality of Godhead are the ones who are like swans, or Hamsa. They're called Hamsa, Param Hamsa. Yeah. So very much appreciated the talk today. So it gave me a revision. Haribol.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much, Avinash Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Kritika, Mahesh has been coming on the Zoom program. He sits there very silently. So can we request Mahesh to give some reflection, realization, comment, whatever he feels like? Some 2-sentence, Mahesh, from you. Thank you.
Thank you, Mataji. I'm more of a listener than giving comments and things. But slowly, I'll be coming in that line. But I'm just with it in coming in line to hear and learn more about it.
Good. I'm happy. At least
Thank
you made
you.
2 sentences. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Any more comments, questions? I know it is a Sunday evening and devotees are engaged in lots of other things, and we are really grateful that you could give your time. Okay, if there are no more questions or comments, I'll hand over to Path Prabhuji to close the session.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Thank you very much, Lavanga Prabhu. You are giving the class today. Lavanga Prabhuji in Eldoret for some reason. He will be stay 1 week. Then maybe he will be giving another class to us. It's very nice. You are giving the lecture on about the avatars, the Juga avatar, Guna avatar, Lila avatar, Shakti avatar, different avatars. Also, it's nice to something new for us besides this particular subject. It's nice. Also giving the example of the Narada Munis and also Kapila Muni. Thank you very much, Prabhuji, for your class. I request all the devotee, please unmute yourself and chant Hare Krishna mantra once for glorification of His grace, Lavanga, Prabhuji. Please join. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna,
Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare
Hare
Rama,
Hare
Rama Rama Hare
Hare Hare.
Vancha
Vaishnavibhyo Namo Namaha.
Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Yeah, it's okay.
His grace, Lavanga, Prabhu ki jai.
Haribo.
Hare Krishna. Good.
She's still there.